Marty's going to have a good year. That team's pretty good. They do a lot of things well. I thought that early we were really flat. I thought we were pretty emotionless. I thought our attention to detail, which has been really good, wasn't very good. We got 52% of our misses back a year ago. And they were 300 and I think 19th in defensive rebound percentage last year. We talked ad nauseum about offensive rebounding. We had one offensive rebound from our starters. So that'll tell you where they were at. And that's disappointing. I'm disappointed in that. Extremely happy with our guys off the bench. I thought Luke Goody came in and immediately sparked us. Got a couple good looks. It's no coincidence that the week before the Kansas scrimmage, Quincy Guerrier was the best player on the court. This week, it's no coincidence that Dre was the best player on the court in practice. And the correlation is very much evident in terms of their production. I thought Marcus had a tough shooting night, was elite defensive on the defensive side. On the defensive side, and then just handling his assignments. We talked about a certain ball screen action going under it and catching it. He hit every single one of them. We gave up 3 early to the middle of the court where we busted an assignment. And Marcus was really solid there. And then I thought Dane and Amani both did a really good job of coming in. Dane established some presence in the paint. Monty finds a way in 14 minutes to get 8 rebounds. You saw that he can step out and shoot a 3. It was nice to see him play some extended minutes in a rhythm. And felt very good about Nico. He got a little sped up, but overall I thought it was a first game win coming off a big exhibition that we didn't handle very well, but we found a way to win. And a lot of things to clean up, and we're going to go to film, and we'll get to go work on Oakland, who is very good for preparation for them on Friday.
Coach, I think we heard you say that Sincere's going to redshirt. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
What went into that decision for him, and on your side of it as well?
Yeah, it's he's a really good player, and I think one of the things that he understands about his development is that he needs to get stronger. He needs to get bigger, and it's come at a little slower pace for him, and I just think that down the road. There's going to be instead of a 10-minute-a-game guy, there's going to be a 25-minute-a-game guy we know he's a very good defender, but there's going to be a guy that adds 15 pounds, 18 pounds. There's going to be a guy that his time will help and that year will pay off. And then I'm so excited for him on the academic side as well. The opportunity to get put himself in a great position to graduate and then do work beyond.
Brad, when you look at your guys in the minutes, is it going to be game to game based on who's playing well, matchups, or
There's 200 of them, Brad. There's 200 minutes, and if I ask every player how much they think they're worth, it would probably be and adding them all up, the number would be double. Perform, play good. Play better. You want to play? Play better. You want to play? Do what we're supposed to do. You want to play? Practice better. It's funny because you look at the plus minuses, and I've been pretty good the last 2. I'm going to count the Kansas exhibition, but I've been pretty good at putting the right guys in the right amount of minutes. And, you know, we're about trying to win this, so I don't know. Some nights, somebody may have to play 30, I don't know. But, boy, I'm glad I played Draven tonight. I'm glad I, you know, left Marcus in, and, you know, I'm glad I played Amani and Dane. You know, and that's pretty comforting as a coach.
Coach, you talked about Luke and the energy he provided off the bench. Can you talk to us about the pairing of Luke and also with Dre tonight and what you liked about that setup?
Shooting, scoring. You know, I'm gonna be careful with Draven in terms of how much I want to compliment him, because I don't want him to read it and actually think it's true. He's a gifted scorer. He can really score at all levels, and Luke's a 40+% 3-point shooter throughout his whole career, and I'm excited for that. And there's space that's available there, and driving, and you know, we're not going to have nights where, you know, Coleman has 4 or 5 threes. People are going to, you know, do something different, take that away. You know, Terrence isn't going to have games where he makes 4 or 5 threes. There'll be some different things. So it's got to come from different places. And we know that you know, Marcus is a 40+% 3-point shooter, and you know, it's about trying to find those guys, and we call them gravity guys. You know, pull defenders with them.
So how do you convince Dre that it's not going to be like this every night?
Well, I think he had a pretty good idea against Kansas, that it's, you know, it's a little harder, the size is a little different. But to be honest, I want him thinking that, because we've had a hard time in practice when he's with the scout team. We've had a hard time guarding. You know, he knows how to put the ball in the basket. We saw a little bit of his athleticism on the defensive side. And when he quits making some silly mistakes on the defensive side, which all freshmen do, yeah, he's got a bright future.
Coach, it seems like Coleman struggled a little bit early defensively against Hamlin. Are you comfortable with him in the guard, you know, guarding the rim at the 5 spot?
I watched him last year against Zach Edey. I'm really comfortable with Coleman guarding anybody when Coleman wants to guard everybody and do it the right way. And so I'm pretty good with Coleman.
Just one more follow-up about Sincere. What was the timeline for you guys to come to this decision? What's it say about maybe his understanding of the big picture to recognize this path?
Yeah, I think, you know, you involve so many people in that decision, and it's not just he and I, and it's you know, family, and you got to talk to people, and you want a sense of where we're at. You know, he's been a great teammate. He's been an unselfish guy that is put himself in a position that he's always going to play minutes. But I think there's just, you know, he wants to be something special, and to do that he's got to gain weight, and I think that's and continue to grow his offensive game.
Obviously, you get frustrated by performance, but as a coach, is this kind of a good thing that you can, after the Kansas game, that you have something to teach them?
Yeah, they read all your guys' stuff. They start to believe it, and you know, it's a false. Yeah, I mean, we know Kansas and their name and this and that, but the game was over, and you know, it's always great to learn from a win when you don't play well, and you have so many teachable moments, and we have new guys and new faces, and they need to learn to handle social media. They need to learn to handle pressure and all the things that go with that. And you know, it always comes back to one thing: practice. It always comes back to practice. You have to practice well to perform well. And there's no team in America that at any level, NBA or college, that if you don't practice well, you're not usually going to perform very well. And you know, you can't rest on the last game. Nobody cares anymore.
Sincere had the ability to ignite energy in you guys last year. Do you need Draven maybe now to embrace that role? You did it tonight. Is that something you think he can give you guys?
Yeah, I think Draven, I think Justin. You know, I think that Quincy, I think all those guys have the ability, and you know, the thing I'm going to miss with Sincere is, you know, man, that's a pretty good feeling as a coach to have a pest on the defensive side. Go sick 'em. Nobody else is. You're not scoring. And we had that with Andres Feliz, you know, off the bench, and we've had it with Buck. You know, we were spoiled with Trent, and we've got to develop that mentality. We got a great test coming up on Friday against those three, Rocket and the two other guards who are shooting all the threes. We got a great test to find out what our guards are made of. So yeah, it's a, you know, those guys got to step up.
Brad, what's your feeling on what you think Jermaine can accomplish in this last year at Eastern, knowing that kid as well as you do?
Well, I think he's played so well in their scrimmages, and you know, the thing for Jermaine's always just been, you know, being inconsistent. And you know, you saw it today. I mean, he catches the ball in the block. He can score it. You know, he's a pogo stick defensively. He can block shots. He can be an intimidator. He can be a force for them in the paint. Their point guard is a guy that was at the top of the scouting report. Tiger's a good player. You usually put a good point guard and a good big together, and you got a chance. And you know, you put Lures and you know, I think some of their other wing guys, the kid that came off the bench, I'm just drawing a blank, number 3, Shelton. You know, those guys, they got some talent, but it's got to start with a point guard and with Jermaine. And I think Jermaine can be a force defensively. He always has been. He's still the only guy that I've seen block Kofi's jump hook on multiple occasions. So he's got those tools.
Was there something in particular from Dre in the week practice leading up to this where he thought you might get something?
Well, he works really hard. I didn't want him to be dejected after the Kansas game, a game that we finished that with a lot of veterans on the court. But you know, it's such a process. It's game by game, but he, you know, his work on the scout team. You know, we always put freshmen on the scout team, and he's just been literally unguardable. He's made everything. He spends as much time in the gym as anybody, if not more. You know, a great week of practice. Focusing on the defensive side. I've tried to never talk offense with him. Just think about guarding and not making mistakes and dialing in on the scouting report, and he's done all those things.
Brad, what does Quincy bring to the table with his decision making? Obviously, not selling for the 3 and being able to drive to the lane and things of that nature.
Yeah, he's a terrific driver of the basketball. You go back to watching his Syracuse stuff. I mean, they put him in a lot of 15, 17-foot areas and isolated him. Very athletic, plays way above the rim. You know, he's a guy that can initiate contact and score through it. You know, and then again, a guy that he's fighting a little wrist injury. He got his wrist kind of caught in a jersey early in the week, but you know, a guy that made 55 threes last year. So a guy that has the ability to kind of be a 3-way guy. You know, he's not a not a guy we're going to run away from the rim to shoot threes, but he's a guy that when he gets his feet set, it's going to make them.
Since we got all the real stuff out of the way, is there a story with Terrence's shirt that you're kind of all over?
Oh, absolutely.
What's the story?
No, I get my check on the 15th of every month. You don't think NIL doesn't work 2 ways now? I mean, I know who the, you know, I gotta get with my legal counsel and make sure that I'm getting the appropriate tax rate on that. But yeah, that's all it is. You know, NIL works 2 ways.
You're making enough on those